Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show, Wrestlemania Extravaganza with myself, Ehren and Tom. Tom, how's it going tonight?
Doing well. Excited for WrestleMania.
You're excited for WrestleMania. I'm kind of hit or miss. I mean, I'm excited for WrestleMania as well. Oh, I love WrestleMania. Don't get me wrong. The card this year's not as spectacular as I would like it to be. But it should be a lot of fun. I don't like the fact that NXT is actually at noon. That's kind of messing up some things for me. I probably won't get able to watch that until after WrestleMania is over.
Yeah. I plan on watching it all as it happens. I actually requested a time off from the shoot job, so I will be there with probably a couple of Broken Skull American lagers ready to enjoy my day. So I'm excited for it. And like you said, there's some things on the card I'm maybe not excited for, but as a whole, I'm definitely excited for WrestleMania.
I mean, if you're going to start and actually be going from the start of it, and you're drinking your lagers, you probably won't make it to the first hour of WrestleMania.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, let's be honest. There's probably several matches I could take some naps, and I wouldn't miss a thing.
Oh, that's just.
I mean, if Lashley and Almas go more than 15 minutes, I will definitely take a nap during that. Just not interested at it whatsoever.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And, you know, I know a lot of people are wanting to get away from the restroom breaks type stuff, but it is what it is. There's just certain matches like you're talking about that would be better suited for Raw. And I would rather the company, and kind of a little bit off topic, I'd rather them use SmackDown tomorrow night as a WrestleMania for some of those matches. And they could have used Raw this past week for some of those matches, and then kind of condense WrestleMania down and given the matches that we really want to see a little bit more time.
Yeah, if they wanted to do just one show, there's only like 6 or 7 matches that are even worth the billing of WrestleMania as it is. So they could have easily done that, but obviously they wanted 2 days because, you know, it's a big moneymaker for them to do it in 2 days. And it's the, you know, most stupendous WrestleMania. So
there's a lot of growth in WrestleMania, but, you know, back in the earlier days, like WrestleMania 1 through 10, there were a bunch of just matches. Like you would have, perfect example, you'd have the Undertaker debut against Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and the match would be 3 minutes. You'd have a matchup where the Warlord would beat Coco Beware, you know, out of nowhere, and, you know, and to be about 4 or 5 minutes. And that's how I kind of feel with some of these matches, but it's more of a better caliber of those type of matches. But there's just some of them, like, I could care less who wins or loses because there's not much of a storyline to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. But there is a few things that I am excited for. I don't know why, but I'm very excited for Johnny Knoxville. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what he brings to the table in an actual wrestling match. So I'm excited for it. Where I know a lot of people maybe not for that match, but I'm all over that one.
Speaking of which, the new Jackass movie, I watched probably the 30 minutes of it last night. It's on Paramount Plus. So there's the plug for that. You know, and it did bring me back to about 10 years ago when I would watch a couple episodes of Jackass on MTV, and I found a couple of it quite funny. Of how stupid they are, you know, but we'll get into that matchup real quick. Though I want to talk about NXT real quick. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that card. I want to talk about 2 matchups in particular. The first one is the Fatal 4-Way with Jade, Mandy Rose, Kylie Ray, and Io Shirai.
Well, how did we get to that match anyway? Just making up rules, and I mean, it should be a great match. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited for the match, but how in the world did we get there? Like,
yeah, and I say Kaylee Ray. So You gotta get your raise right. Yeah, exactly. It was like the Dusty Cup winners were to get a tag team title shot, and instead they were just like, you know what? Nope. We're just gonna wrestle for the world title. And it was
Yeah,
like no one. Well, there's no authority figure anymore. Regal's gone, so I guess they were just like, oh, I guess that's what we're doing. So
it just makes no sense. Let's be honest. It makes no sense. Because if that's the case, everyone else in the locker room should have come out and said, well, you know what? I won my match tonight. I won my match 3 weeks ago. I'm putting myself in there. I mean, whatever. It gets us to a match that I think will be very good. So it's whatever. It happens from time to time with WWE, and sometimes you just got to let them things go. But it doesn't make any sense. But excited for the match. Let's do it. It's going to be great.
Yep. Who you picking for that one?
So there's a lot changing there. I don't know. I feel like it's so up in the air. I would like to see Kaylee Ray win. But I don't know what they're doing. Like some of the stuff, I feel like they're just kind of making decisions on the fly. And like, I don't know necessarily where it leads, but if I were to pick who I would want to win, it would be her, and then see where it goes from there.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Cora Jade. I just absolutely love Cora Jade. I love the character. I love the look. I think she's very underrated in the ring, and I don't think she's had a chance to really still show that quite yet. Because let's be honest, she's been in some feuds with people like Mandy Rose, who's not the greatest wrestler quite yet, even though she is the champion. So I love the fact that they're putting her in there, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just didn't trust that matchup for that stage to be that big, so they put, Kaylee Ray and Io in there to kind of ring general it a little bit more. It's possible. I'm not 100% sure that's what happened, but I like Cora Jade there, and the reason why is because I think Io's possibly going to be a post WrestleMania call up, and I can see Kaylee. I would call Kaylee Ray up as a post WrestleMania call up as well.
I just don't know what they would see in Io. I mean, for the main roster.
Oh, she's not going to be successful in the main roster. Let's get that straight right now. There's no telling what they're going to do with her, but it definitely won't be the same Io as we just saw.
Right. So I don't even want to think those thoughts. So I'm going to act like that's not even going to happen. I hate it. I don't feel like they know what to do with a wrestler, male or female, whatever, if it's not the atypical that they like to push. So they just get thrown to the wayside, not a big deal, and then before you know it, they're not on TV, and then before you know it, they're released. So let her keep killing it in NXT. I mean, I hate that you even think that. Like, I don't want that out in the atmosphere. Delete that.
Well, it has been a rumor that, and you know how the rumors are, but, there's only so much that I can see them, because I'm sure she's got a pretty good contract because they brought her over. So they're going to want to capitalize on her soon, especially since they have Saray already in NXT as well. Maybe you bring Asuka back and you put Io with Asuka, and that's a good tag team. I mean, because let's be honest, they don't have any plans for Asuka, which is crazy. And then Kaylee Ray, how about putting her with Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch?
See, those ideas make sense.
You're right. I'm not under contract, people. I'm sorry.
I mean, what are you gonna do? I don't see it. I don't see them doing anything that's gonna make sense. So I'm just trying to be excited for the matches that they're gonna put on while they're there.
In the main event, I would assume 2 months ago, even a month ago, we wouldn't have thought this would be the NXT main event, and it's Dolph Ziggler as your champion versus Braun Breaker. I'm going to say Breaker's going to get the title back.
Yeah, I don't know why they pulled the title off of him. I thought that was a weird move. Maybe it's just a story to tell, something to do. But yeah, I definitely think he's going to get it back unless he gets called to the main roster, which I wouldn't. I
hate
that
you put that in the atmosphere. I'm hating that you're putting that in the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing with him. I feel like they would push him because I think he is the atypical type superstar that they like. So I wouldn't be as worried for him to go. However, I don't know if I personally think, whatever that's worth, if he's ready for that yet. I still think he's doing great work and he has tons of talent. And eventually I think it will be a great thing for the main roster that the product will need him and someone of his talent and caliber, probably in the near future. But I hope it's not real soon. I hope he stays there for a while and can continue to get better before he is in front of, a lot more people.
Well, I mean, and who knows? There may not be any post-WrestleMania call-ups. I mean, let's be honest. This is a new NXT, so there's a great possibility that they don't call up a lot of people, which I'm fine with for the first time. Back when they were loaded with Undisputed Era and Keith Lee and Karrion Kross and, all these great talents, you're like, it's time to move them to the main roster. And now I'm kind of like, yeah, well, just keep them there. So,
yeah, they can continue to make that show better and better. And since it's went to 2.0, I feel like it has progressed in a good way. It was kind of sketchy there for me a little bit at the beginning. But I think they are building something good there if they continue. But if they just disrupt it all again, I think we're going to be in another problem. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they just need to keep it going.
I figure the ladder match for NXT will probably steal the show for that show as well. Of course, you got Raquel and Dakota chasing the tag titles all of a sudden again. You got Gunter and LA Knight, and you've got Tommaso Ciampa versus Tony D'Angelo. So really good card on paper for NXT. I mean, it really is. And Ziggler can deliver. Let's be honest. He can deliver, and he may get something out of Braun that we haven't seen quite yet. So I look for that to be a really good show. I just hate that it's on noon. I kind of wish – I don't know what you do. With the Hall of Fame now on Fridays, and it's just such a crunch. And it looks like they're going to stick with the 2-night WrestleMania for the foreseeable future. It's just tough for a wrestling fan who has a life sometimes and shoot jobs and things.
To me, what would make sense, so they won't do it, but what would make sense is all these throwaway matches that they have on the WrestleMania 2-day event, just put in your NXT 2.0 matches on the WrestleMania card. Pick your
3-night WrestleMania.
No, I'm saying eliminate the fluff matches that you have from WrestleMania that nobody cares about. Let's be honest, nobody cares about Lashley and Owens. Nobody cares about McIntyre and Corbin. I know they're probably wanting to get them on the card or whatever, but look, is it the right thing to do? To me, you just insert the NXT matches and it'll make for a great show. Plus, you're going to expose them to a bigger audience.
I would just do Monday night be the go-home show for SmackDown and Raw. Everyone's there. Friday night, air NXT show live on the USA Network or Fox, and you can have your ads for WrestleMania into that. That's what I would do.
That's a great idea too. The Hall of Fame is the big one for me because then you got the Hall of Fame afterwards, so it's like that's a lot in one night as well. So it still brings you to 3 nights of a very long day.
It's still a lackluster Hall of Fame too, and that's the crazy part. They haven't really pushed anybody. The Undertaker's going in the Hall of Fame, and this is like the least I feel like pushed Hall of Fame that there's ever been. Usually there's these great video packages telling you why these people are being in the Hall of Fame. And instead it's been like, USA Today announces the Steiner brothers are going in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Steiner brothers. And that's all it is. It's like, where's the video? Show me it. I want to see that stuff. I love watching those videos. It brings back so many great memories for me.
Yeah, and they really haven't pushed it at all. I mean, I remember us talking about it the other day, trying to figure out, is it going to be on Fox? Is it going to be on Peacock? Like they haven't really done a good job of hitting that home. And it doesn't even add up to why. Why would you not go full? I know they're working on building, still pushing WrestleMania, but how do you miss the Hall of Fame? Like, I don't know. I think it all goes together. But there's going to be a lot of people that won't even watch the Hall of Fame because they don't even realize about it. Like,
this year you have 3 people who could be on a Mount Rushmore of something. 2 of the best big guys in pro wrestling history, if you did a Mount Rushmore, could be Undertaker and Vader. One of the best characters of all time, Mount Rushmore, Undertaker's in there. One of the greatest tag teams of all time, Mount Rushmore, the Steiner brothers. And it's just, then there's Queen Charmel. But it's just like, where is this love at? Where is this love at for these people? And I feel like since they just called these people up like last week, it's like, hey, we got to build this Hall of Fame all of a sudden. Steiner, do y'all want in? We know we banned you, Scott, for years, but you want in? So
what do you think happened there? Do you think that they were planning to just do a Hall of Fame around the Undertaker and they changed their mind at the last minute?
I think they had some offers out for some people and perhaps they turned it down. And they were probably holding out hope. I saw something where Jeff Hardy, they kind of offered him something before he signed. Hey, we'll put you in the Hall of Fame. And he was like, no. So I think they had all these other people that they kind of had kind of above, and whether or not they couldn't get to Dallas and stuff fell apart. And, I don't know. But it was a mess.
And maybe that's part of it, but still you've got all this TV time that you're wasting on, engagements in the backstage and all this other stuff going on. You couldn't play a Steiner Brothers package that was 5-10 minutes long. I mean, something that is deserved. You couldn't tell people more about Vader and get people pumped up for what's going to happen with the Undertaker.
Well, Nikki Bella's still waiting to hear Vader's speech, so we'll see how that turns out.
That's true.
She's a Hall of Famer too. Oh,
yes, but yeah, I don't know. You can't say that WWE doesn't know what they're doing because financially they know exactly what they're doing. But it's just a lot of stuff that just makes you want to scratch your heads. Like, what are you doing?
Yep. What are you doing? All right. Night 1 of WrestleMania. Now, some of these matches, like you're talking about, we ain't going to go too in detail about it because it's not something that I truly care about. Some of them. So we'll start with a couple of those. I'm going to pick Drew McIntyre over Happy Corbin. I cannot believe this is a WrestleMania match for Drew McIntyre, but it is. Drew McIntyre gets his revenge with this sword finally, and he beats Happy Corbin. Your thoughts?
I mean, I ain't got much thoughts on it at all, but yeah, I say Drew goes over.
All right. Tag team title, another one that just kind of came out of nowhere in the last few weeks. The Usos defend the tag team SmackDown championships against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs.
Usos retain.
Yeah, I believe Usos retain as well. I like Boogs is entertaining. Still needs a lot of work in the ring, and Shinsuke deserves better than what he's kind of getting as well at this point. But I will go with them as well. Now, this matchup has been talked about as far as being up in the air. And that's the New Day, Xavier and Kofi versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus. I'm going to pick the New Day.
I'll go Ridge Holland and Sheamus. I think they're the shiny new toys. As long as there isn't any heat with Ridge Holland, I think they both go over at WrestleMania.
We can't forget about Butch in the corner.
Yeah, Butch.
All right, here we go. Some matches that are kind of interesting. And listen, if any of these talents are actually watching the show, which would be a miracle, and thank you. It's not that we don't care about your talents. It's just poorly booked matches, in our opinion. So, the Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul. I'm very interested to see what they do with Logan Paul. I expect him to. He is a showman. Let's be honest. I expect him to try his best to put on a show. Probably pull off some crazy maneuver. I would assume jumping off the top rope into something. But I can see there's been like this little tension every once in a while where Logan's not quite sure what the Miz is saying, and he's not quite agreeing with him sometimes, or he thinks Miz is taking it just a tad bit too far. So I can see Logan Paul turning on the Miz in this matchup and the Mysterios getting the win.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But I, like you, I am interested in what he brings to the table. To me, that's the only thing out of this equation that I care about whatsoever. None of the rest of it. I feel like, the story just isn't that good. And I feel like the Mysterios kind of had already gotten their comeuppance. So, okay, so now we're going to have the match finally, even though, they've kind of got the upper hand already. So I don't know. It's just a weird booking for me. And the only thing that holds it together is not knowing what Logan Paul is going to do. And who knows? I could see it going off the rails too, because I could see him doing something he ain't supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and Dominic's still a little bit rough sometimes. I hope after WrestleMania, I did like right before a couple weeks ago, they took the Mysterios and put them down at NXT. I like that a lot. I think Dominic is somebody who could really benefit from being down at NXT. And Ray right now, who has not much left to prove to anyone in his career, going down to NXT as well. I think those are two people WWE should really use in NXT. But I'll still go with the Mysterios. Now, Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm picking Becky Lynch. We've talked about this. I just do not see Bianca winning this match. She had her moment last year at WrestleMania. This has been some crazy booking as well. Becky tried to take her throat out, and then she tried to cut her hair. And then we're supposed to kind of feel sorry that Becky got her hair cut because now she's PO'd about it. But I just don't see Bianca beating her this time.
Yeah, it's so weird of a story. Before Monday, I had it in my mind that Bianca is going to pull this off. But then she already kind of got back at Becky. It's another one of those situations. She's already kind of got one up on her. And then Becky's on a different level now because I feel like she went from being the confident, big-time Bex to now feeling like she has something to prove because Bianca cut her hair. So it just, to me, threw the whole storyline off. So
she should have cut her hair weeks ago, and then they could have made this a hair match, and then Bianca could have won and cut Becky's hair like she did on Monday. Like you could have had Becky snap a piece of the bottom of Bianca's, hair off. She had to cut the whole ponytail off, but she could cut a piece of it off and then drew some major heat for that. I'd rather her done that than ram her throat into the post and then Bianca win and then cut her hair at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. And so, before Monday, I'm all for Bianca's got this. She's going to finally get a true one-on-one. This is going to be the legit match, and she's going to pull it off. I don't think that's going to happen now. Just the way that everything's going, I want Bianca to win this match, but I feel like Becky's going to. She's got too much to prove now because she got punked on Monday.
Yeah, there's one more match before the main event. We'll talk about the main event first, okay? Main event for night one is Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. It's what's scheduled as far as the main event match-wise. So Rousey's not the same Rousey. And to me, everything that she's doing in the ring looks really sloppy. I feel like, though, they probably put in a lot of work on this match. And I feel like it will deliver match quality wise. And I feel like Ronda Rousey's going to win this matchup against Charlotte. Your thoughts?
100%. I think Rousey wins the match. And I, like you, think the match is going to be great. So I do care about it because I think the match is going to be good. But I could care less about the story leading up to it. We never did get that one-on-one Becky and Ronda. And I feel like we're now getting the match they wanted to give us the first time. But the story leading to it, to me, just isn't good. And the performances from Ronda, kind of like you mentioned, haven't been the greatest leading up to it. So if she's not invested, neither am I. And that's kind of how I feel on it. But I know it's going to be good, so I'm excited to watch it. But where do they go after this? So that's my biggest fear is I believe Ronda will win. Well, what changes after WrestleMania when she's the champion to where she's going to be exciting? Because right now I don't feel like she's exciting.
Yeah, her WrestleMania or her Royal Rumble victory interview was terrible, in my opinion. Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, she knew her shoulder was up against Becky, but Becky didn't deserve her time, so she wanted to wrestle Charlotte, and she would wrestle Becky at a later date. What?
Yeah.
Like, that made no sense to me. Like, the match should have been Becky versus Ronda is what it should have been. And, I told you that, at the shoot job. And it's weird to me that they went with this because they're hoping to save Ronda versus Becky later. But here's the thing. I've been hoping for Roman Reigns versus The Rock now for 2 years, and I still haven't got it because things don't work out sometimes. Now, again, possibly next year is where we're possibly going to get it. But WWE needs to quit putting off certain things and live for now and live for today. And let's try to get these matches that people are wanting to see now. Because a year from now, if they think people are going to be cheering for Ronda Rousey against Becky Lynch, you're going to be wrong. Because Ronda in the next year, if she stays around, is going to run thin on people's patience. You'll always have your diehard Ronda fans, don't get me wrong. But I think she's going to be exposed a lot. And they're going to get tired of her winning these 2 to 3 minute matches where she's submitting people and terrible feuds and terrible mic work. So I don't know. Like I said, I'll go with Rousey because I feel like that's the move that Fox would want, is Rousey to be the champion. And unfortunately, we're in a day and age where, some promotions are run by the cable companies, and they tell you who they want where. And so we'll go with Rousey for that one, but we'll see. We'll see. 2 big things, though, on night 1 scheduled. Seth Rollins versus Mystery. And I don't know. The closer I get to it, we feel like Cody Rhodes is coming and that it's possibly going to be a feud with Seth. Knowing the WWE now, does that mean that Cody's debuting at WrestleMania? Or is it going to be a swerve and he debuts Monday after WrestleMania? To me, anything but Cody is going to be a letdown. I don't want to see Goldberg. I don't want to see Shane McMahon. I could see a gauntlet type deal. Or maybe they throw somebody out there, Seth beats him real quick. It's like, is that all you got? Or something. But I don't know. They handled this whole situation a little bit rough too. Like Seth Rollins, and Vince finally is like, all you gotta do is ask. No, Vince, you should have told them to just give him a match. Like, you basically said that we couldn't have WrestleMania without Seth Rollins. Well, obviously, you weren't giving him nobody. So it's just frustrating. I'm hoping, I'll go ahead and say Seth loses to whoever. I'm hoping it's Cody. There's this Goldberg thought in my mind now. It's terrible. I hate it. But who do you think it's going to be?
I don't know, and I'm at the point where I don't care. I just want to watch to see what happens and see if I get surprised. But usually when WWE does these surprise things, I'm let down. So I'm not holding it very high because I just have a feeling it's going to turn into be something that's not very good. I have this idea in the back of my mind that somehow it's going to end up being Kevin Owens. Something about what they're doing. I don't know. I feel like something weird's going to happen and it's going to be a complete letdown to everybody because everybody has built up what they want in their mind. And if that's not what the case is, then anything else is going to be a letdown.
It's possibly going to be the Undertaker come out and just tombstone him.
And to me, that would be a letdown, even though I would like to see the Undertaker one more time do something in the ring. It would still be a letdown.
I mean, here we are at WrestleMania talking about letdowns. Another one that's kind of a letdown to me is, and I'm hoping it turns into a great one, scheduled to be the last segment, so as of now, is the Austin and Kevin Owens confrontation at the Kevin Owens show. And I'm like you, I kind of hope something leads where they get into a fight, and then Austin says, tomorrow night, bring your ass back, and we'll go one-on-one tomorrow night. And that's kind of like the cliffhanger of how it ends. And then gets more people interested. Maybe there's some tickets that still need to be sold. And people are like, oh, Austin's wrestling now. And they kind of go that way. Should be fun, though. Two great guys on the mic. They should have great chemistry. It should be great. No matter what they do, I feel like it's going to be great.
KO Mania 6. I mean, it's got to be a big one. I don't know. It's sad that, don't get me wrong, anything Austin will do will be gold. I don't think he's going to say okay to something if it ain't going to be great. So it'll be entertaining. It'll be fine. But what I don't like is the fact that we may get Kevin Owens at WrestleMania and not in a match because he's a phenomenal worker. Same way with Seth Rollins. If we don't get Seth Rollins in an actual match, I feel like it's a letdown. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping it turns out to be something where we actually get to see something from Kevin Owens other than him take a stunner and get some beer poured on him and whatever. I mean, it's fine. And I'm a big Stone Cold fan, so anything he does, I'm going to enjoy, but I'm still going to feel bad for Owens.
Moving on to night 2. Women's Tag Team Championship. Queen Zelina Carmella take on Sasha and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Natalya and Shayna Baszler. I'm going to go with Rhea and Liv.
I actually like this matchup. I definitely think that Zelina and Carmella are not retaining, but I think it'll be Sasha and Naomi. Just because I feel like Sasha's the biggest name in the match. I feel like she's also somebody that has a lot more pull than probably the other ones. So I feel like she would be the one that would go over.
Yeah, I don't think it has something to do with pull. I just think Sasha's more valuable as a singles competitor, and so post-WrestleMania she'll be needed more that way. And I think there's a lot of fans who've been clamoring for Liv to get her moment. A lot of people really wanted her to beat Becky Lynch and thought it was going to happen, and it didn't. So I think this is kind of a way, and people are really upset the way they've been doing Rhea and her booking throughout the last year. So I just feel like that this is a way for Liv to kind of get her moment and finally get a championship. So that's why I'm going with them. Bobby Lashley versus Almost. It's Bobby Lashley. It's Bobby Lashley, right? Bobby Lashley.
Time.
Yeah, I mean, he was so mad that he lost his title that he's come back to beat up Almost instead of coming back and wanting a title shot. It's just like, I mean, he should be mad at Seth. That should be Bobby Lashley because Seth did buckle bomb, took him out. But yeah, Lashley. Hopefully, this is the last of Almost. So, RK Bro versus Street Profits versus Alpha Academy. I can't believe we did not get the Orton Riddle match at Mania. I mean, I just thought for sure 8 months ago that's where it was leading, at least at one of these pay-per-views, and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm going to go with RK Bro to retain.
I think they're just running too hot. I mean, I think that they caught that lightning in a bottle with them two, and I don't think they were willing to give it up just yet. And I think a lot of that has to do with Orton, I really, truly believe, is having the time of his life. And if he has any say-so whatsoever, I can see him being like, no, let's let this thing run its course. This is working, But here's the thing. As much as I like RK Bro, I feel like with it being a triple threat, they're not retaining. And I got to go with my boys, the Street Profits.
I just don't see it. They've lost a lot with me, and it's crazy. And it was due to booking. When you start losing so much and you kind of fall out of favor, it seems like, and get forgotten. I just don't see it. Yeah, it's good for Chad Gable though. He's getting his first WrestleMania match. He's done a really good job this year, and I know it meant a lot to him to finally get one. Him and Otis are really good buddies outside of wrestling as well, so it's good that they're getting their shot together. Now here comes two matches back to back. That's wild, and you mentioned it: Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. And an anything goes match. So the Jackass staff is going to be involved. Let's be honest. They're going to show up. There's going to be a lot of hijinks. It's going to be very entertaining. Sammy's entertaining when he wants to be. And I think he'll be very motivated here because this is a good opportunity for people from the outside to probably figure out who Sami Zayn is if they don't know who Sami Zayn is. And so he'll have his working shoes on. I expect it to be about a 10-minute car wreck, and it'll be funny and great. Wee Man will be around, I'm sure. Steve-O, there's no telling. I can see Knoxville luring Sami into a room, and there'll be a snake or something, and he's freaking out. Just something crazy, some jackass stunts involved in this. So it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's unpredictable because it's Johnny Knoxville. So to me, that's exciting. And it doesn't matter who wins or loses, but I feel like Sami Zayn's definitely losing.
I'm going to say Sami Zayn's going to win. Knoxville's liable to go for some crazy stunt and miss it, and Zayn's going to win. All right. And the reason why I think that is because the next match is Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. And I think McAfee's going to beat Theory. So I don't think that they would have two celebrities win in a row on the same night. So, because I think Pat, we saw him against Adam Cole. If he's got a good dance partner, he can really dance. And I think he's going to get the win over Austin Theory, which makes me believe that Sammy's going to beat Knoxville.
See, I think the opposite. I think Austin Theory has to go over on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's not even a wrestler. And Austin Theory is the golden child.
Well, okay, but hold on now. Pat McAfee's not even a wrestler, neither is Johnny Knoxville, but Johnny Knoxville you've got winning.
Yeah, but it's Sami Zayn.
He's a former Intercontinental Champion.
I understand that, but it's Sami Zayn. Sami loses a lot because he is Sami Zayn.
Now, McAfee's going to beat Austin Theory, and then they'll continue that where Vince is kind of upset at Austin Theory because he didn't show him enough. And, he took him for granted. He gave him this match on a silver platter and he embarrassed him. And, Austin Theory is really good in the ring. And he's somebody that could main event a WrestleMania in 2 years if they got behind and really pushed as far as work goes. I mean, I really like him a lot. There's something there with him. And I remember I watched this documentary a few years ago and I said, there's this Austin Theory kid. He wasn't even into WWE then. I was like, and this is kind of about him. And man, this kid is good. Like,
he gets beat by a commentator.
Okay. All right. Ooh, can't wait to see how that one turns out. And that one will be a good match too, because I think McAfee will be really ready to go. And there could be more people involved. Finn Balor's not listed in a match, and he's been kind of involved in this storyline as well, in a way. And so is Damian Priest. I mean, who knows how this one kind of turns out? Isn't that sad? Finn Balor and Damian Priest can't even get a match at WrestleMania. I guess they could do a pre-show match. They could be on a pre-show. They don't even have.
But we got Lashley versus Amos.
Man, that's crazy. Match of the night, perhaps for me, Edge versus AJ Styles. I really love this match. I do. I talk about two guys who will work their ass off and try their hardest to make sure that this match delivers. It's interesting, I think AJ beats Edge. I know a lot of people think Edge with his new character, kind of like a darker Edge, is going to win. But I think AJ is going to win, get his kind of revenge for what happened to him a few weeks ago. But I also think that this feud will continue post-Mania.
I'm excited for the match. I think that you've got two guys that can bring the best out of each other. And I don't really have an opinion on win or lose because I think it could go either way because I'm with you. I think they could just continue what they're doing. I feel like they're very early in the stages of the story. So I think it's just a stop on the road to get to where it eventually ends, maybe SummerSlam.
Ooh, that's a long.
Yeah. It is.
It's a long go, but they're good about dragging some stuff out, and that's fine. And both of these guys are you could reinsert them into a world title picture. So, I just think that this one's going to kind of continue because they're kind of lost in the shuffle in a way, because there's no clear cut of where they would go after this. But I would assume Lashley's going to get a match against the champion. I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't after Mania, unless Almost beats him. Oh, God. And so, yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Speaking of championships, main event. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns for the undisputed, I think that's what they're calling it, the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship. It's very interesting. I can see it either way. I think Roman beats Brock.
I like it. I like everything about what's going on.
It's been great.
I like that I don't understand why they're unifying the titles. I like that I don't know once it's done what happens after that. I like the mystery behind it all. Normally, I would say for sure Roman retains because Brock's probably going to take a hiatus after WrestleMania. But I feel like he's having so much fun that he'll be around after WrestleMania. And I could be wrong, but I feel like he's still going to be around. So then I don't know. That's what it makes it intriguing for me. Granted, I don't feel like I would like for the bloodline to continue doing what they're doing. And I feel like he still has to be the champion for them to do that. So I'm hoping Roman wins. But it's so weird and the mystery behind what their plans are afterwards because they don't really talk about what that's going to look like, what happens to the champion once they win. Are they going to be on both shows? Do they get to show up wherever they want? They haven't really talked about any of it. So I don't know. That's the weird part.
Yeah, either way, I feel like these two are going to just hopscotch the belts back and forth over the next year. I really do. I don't see anyone on the horizon that's going to take the belt from either one of these two unless they kind of just split it off and, go back being separate branded. And I could see it 100%. But yeah, interesting. It's a great time. And, WrestleMania is going to be a good show either way. I'm hoping it's over by 10:30 each night, Central Time. I'm hoping. Man, we start getting at 11 o'clock. I'm just, come on. Like, let's get to it. I hope it's not too long and drawn out, but overall, I expect it to be a really good show.
Any surprises that aren't necessarily talked about, you think may happen?
Not really. I guess The Rock could always come.
There's one name for me
John
that I'm
Cena?
like, Bailey.
Nope, I think she'll be a post WrestleMania. I really do. I mean, there's no sense in rushing them out there for WrestleMania just to interject into a story. I mean, there's just not. I just think that she'd be a perfect first challenger for Ronda Rousey after Rousey wins the SmackDown title.
But could she not show up at the end of the match?
Good. I mean, she could. I mean, anything can happen.
I just feel like Bailey is, because she's, from what I understand, she's ready, right? They just don't have a story for her.
So is Asuka. Asuka's ready too. Didn't have nothing for her. So, I mean, and then they got people who are ready on the roster. Got United States champions ready. Got Intercontinental champions ready. You got.
It's weird, but we're getting Lashley versus Omos.
That's right. Lashley versus. You know what? Watch that be great. Watch it be great. So
you'll have to tell me how it ends because I'm sure I'll doze off during that one.
For everybody out there, enjoy WrestleMania. For myself and Tom, we're going to have a lot to discuss in the next couple of weeks after WrestleMania is over with and we see how some of the Raws and SmackDowns play out. We'll definitely hit up a blind tag and kind of break down everything that we saw kind of happen, especially with AEW and the way that they're going as well. We got some great shows lined up and coming up. We're about to hit our 100th episode. Seems like it's taken us forever to get to 100. I mean, it really has, but 100th episode coming up. Not going to tell you who the guest is. It's not because we don't have it booked. We've got it booked. Things happen sometimes, and looking forward to it. We got a lot of great guests that we are looking forward to having on as well. Head over to Pro Wrestling Tees. Pick up yourself some merchandise and hit the subscribe button between now and Sunday night. If we can get 50 new subscribers, going to give away an autographed copy of Independent Road to Wrestler's Journey. I'll even throw in a copy of Loving Casey Nelson as well. So thank you all. Enjoy your WrestleMania weekend, and we will talk to y'all soon.